Hello guys, and welcome to this next trip report video on LMTripReports. This is a very small trip report covering the shuttle pods at London Heathrow Airport, taking a journey on one covering the whole route between business parking for Terminal 5, the Thistle Hotel and London Heathrow Terminal 5. Along the way we'll see some incredible views of the airport and runway 09 left, as well as some aircraft arriving into the runway 2, which will be cool. Coming up soon on the channel is some big events for me, the first of which starts with my first flight of the year, in fact, on board Iberia's first Airbus A350 in business class between London Heathrow and Madrid Barajas International. After this video, there'll be a video up shortly after covering the second leg, that's the second leg of my journey from Madrid Barajas to Frankfurt International. That's with LATAM Airlines on board their 787-9 aircraft. That's also in business class, so I really can't wait to show you that too. Finally, my trip there ends with a trip back to London Heathrow the following day on board British Airways' 767 aircraft. From Frankfurt International to London Heathrow. That's only in economy, but still should present some great footage of how to fly the 767 in the last months of service this year. I really look forward to showcasing you these reports. My first flight is on the 25th of July, so it shouldn't be too long to wait. That's really good. Finally, my next railway trip report will be on the Caledonian Sleeper in first class. That'll be around mid-August, and that'll be from London Euston to Glasgow Central. So do look out for that coming soon too. Well, without further ado, let's get straight into this trip report. Enjoy! Our journey on the pods today starts at Pod Parking Station B, which is located at the Thistle Hotel. I'm just going to travel inside these pods, and here we get to the start menu.
Hello, where do you want to go? You are going to Terminal
I'm now
5.
selecting where we are going.
Okay? Please let people off the pod.
There we go, to Terminal 5. Nice and easy. So the pod opens, doors are very wide, and it is very spacious inside, as you can see. It's a very easy to use system to close the doors, very much like that on modern trains these days. There we go, doors are now closing. And after this, we simply click start, and we are travelling to Terminal 5. Now the pod will move backwards once it sees its opportunity to do so, and we'll be on our way.
Our journey from Pod Parking Station B to Terminal 5 takes 5 minutes.
The onboard computer system tells you everything you need to know. The journey time is a little under 5 minutes in fact, as it does account for small delays when there is busy periods on the pods. However, we didn't suffer any delays on this journey today. It was very quiet. The weather was absolutely superb, a gorgeous time to film at London Heathrow, and a great opportunity to ride these pods and show off the potential, especially with the landing shots that you can actually get from inside them. As you can see, we are always parallel with runway 09 left here, where the planes are coming in from the easterly, well, the wind's coming in from the easterly direction, the plane's coming in from the westerly direction as a result of that easterly wind, meaning that we can get some very nice views of the airport at dusk, just before the sun goes down. So we take a right turn here. If you took a left turn, you'd just be heading back into Pod Parking Station B. We take a right turn now, heading up, and take an elevated ascent to the main part of the structure. As you can see here, there is an Emirates Airbus A380 en route to land. One of those in the Expo special livery nonetheless. Just shows how good the view is of the landing planes. Absolutely superb. Look at that. Absolutely brilliant view of the landing planes on runway 09 left at Heathrow. There's the control tower, iconic as it is, and Terminal 5 to our left there. So we're just going to take our left turn as we head over the airport perimeter road, just to head parallel with the landing lights for runway 09 left. These pods really are a useful tool to get in and around the airport, especially if you are using the business parking. Unfortunately, they only do go between Terminal 5 and the business parking. They do not go any further than that. In this video, later on you'll be able to see a more in-depth view of where they do go, this is just part A of the video. There's actually 3 parts, 3 separate videos covering the different journeys you can do. This is one of the main journeys you can do, but there are other separate journeys you can also do. So there we go, on our left is the landing lights for runway 09 on the left. These pods are fully automated and don't require any input from the customer apart from starting and closing the doors. They're very intuitive actually, and are able to travel at around 20 miles an hour around the airport, which is a good speed, to be honest. It means you can get from your parking to the airport in just under 5 minutes time, which is brilliant. They do move around on their own, so they don't just sit there. So we had an incident where we were sat outside one of the pod bays waiting for it to get a space, because there's only 2 spaces at each pod bay, apart from Terminal 5. I think there may be more than 2 there. But there are only 2 spaces at each pod parking station A and pod parking station B. Unfortunately, that means that you can only fit 2 pods in, and if there isn't anyone that are going to be using those pods to get around, then you are in fact sat outside. These pods are actually quite intuitive. That was obviously thought of, that when out of peak time they will be using. There's an Airbus A321 of British Airways by Terminal 5, by the way. So that if the pods aren't being used at peak times, they will actually go around and just do circuits themselves on their own, completely with nobody on board. So these pods are actually going around with nobody on them, left, right and centre. It's quite a scary prospect, but this is 2018, so robots are gradually taking over the world, and this is, the first part of it. But they are a really, really useful tool. As you can see, there are some pods parked in the Heathrow Terminal 5 place. At this point we get a nice safety video here, just to let you know exactly where you can go once you get to Terminal 5 for those flyers that are travelling that day, heading up to departures on level 5. I do apologise about the bumpiness of the video. This isn't my shoddy camera work. I do guarantee you I do have a very steady hand. However, these pods are very bumpy. The ride is not good at all. This is just as a result of using the same tracks every day. But yeah, there are 3 bays by the looks of it there at Terminal 5. As we start the second part of our journey, we will be travelling from Heathrow Terminal 5 to Pod Parking Station A. So that's Heathrow Terminal 5 to Pod Parking Station A. This journey essentially takes us a little under 4 minutes just to get to our destination, even though the woman will say 5 minutes. As I said, that is for peak times only. It does in fact take you a little under 4 minutes to do it when there isn't any traffic about. Quite weird to think there is traffic, but these pods do pile up at some times in the morning when a lot of people are using the flights, especially early in the morning. Apparently these pods can get quite busy, 3 or 4 people with suitcases in each pod. However, at this time, I think all of the pods were empty at the time. Nobody was using them. Only one guy boarded with us at Heathrow, and I didn't see anyone else on the circuit at all. They were just going around empty by the look of it. So they are quite intuitive by going around on themselves. As you can see, beautiful sunset. I've got a plane coming in here. That does look like a Dash 8 of Flybe, one of the smallest aircraft that does serve London Heathrow today. I do apologise once again for the bouncy ride. This is as a result of the bouncy ride on the pods. Nothing that can be helped there, unfortunately. But yeah, beautiful evening to do some filming on these pods, so I did decide to do so. Absolutely brilliant little journey you can do here. Once again, you can see the landing lights on your right. There is a better view of London Heathrow with the iconic control tower there in the centre, as well as parts of Terminal 5 extending there. The new northern runway will be just a little bit further north of where we're travelling. There is talk of these pods having to be removed if they do build a northern runway, and it is it is going to have to be done at some point. They're going to have to do something about them. So these pods may not be about forever. As a result of the new northern runway, they are going to have to build taxiways here to the new northern runway, and decide what they're going to do from there with Heathrow expansion. But these pods may not be about forever, and they are free to travel on, completely free of charge. You just select where you want to go. You can go there, get off, have a look around, and then come back. Unfortunately, you cannot exit at any of the stations. unless you have a car. If you do want to exit at the Thistle Hotel, which is pod parking station B, there's an Airbus A321 of BA just landing there on runway 09 left. If you do want to exit at the Thistle Hotel and travel to the hotel, there is a £5 charge that you have to pay to the receptionist, and they won't let you out unless you confirm that you will pay that £5 charge. I'm not sure if anyone's ever done that, said they'll pay the £5 and then legged it, but you know, I'm not really sure whether that's legally binding or anything, but apparently as a result of the Thistle Hotel, they charge you £5 to exit on foot if you want to exit at pod parking station B. If you want to exit at pod parking station A, you can only do that in a car. There is no public access, so you are a bit trapped unless you go back to T5. So it was a round trip for us today. So you can see here, you can see the junctions where the pods negotiate with each other where they want to go. Not a single crash has happened at all on these pods since they started, so it's a pretty intuitive piece of equipment. We're on our way to pod parking station A, so instead of taking the right, we'll take a left turn here and head down to the pod parking station A. Now this is all the same car park, so the Thistle Hotel exit at pod parking station B is the same as the exit by pod parking station A. It's the same car park, it's just two different zones. So if you know where you parked your car, hopefully you parked it in zone A or zone B, then you'll know exactly where you can go on these pods. They are really useful, really intuitive bits of kit. They do get quite hot in the summer with no air conditioning, but you really don't need it for a 4-minute journey, and you're not really going to be sitting around anywhere. On approach to the stations, they do get a little bit slow, but yeah, you'll arrive nice and safe with all of your kit, as we have just arrived right there. And this is part 3, our final part of this pod trip report. This journey will take us from pod parking station A to pod parking station B, which is just a nice little 2 to 3 minute journey, if that, which takes you from one part of the car park to another. It's just so you can do the journey, or if you get off at the wrong part and you don't want to walk to the other part, then you can just jump on a pod and they'll take you there. There is a nice pod in the middle there, just displaying, displaying what the, what it offers. And the maintenance facility is located here, as you can see, just on your right-hand side there. That's pod parking station A's maintenance building, and there isn't one at pod parking station B, so that's the main one. That's where they all go into the depot at night. Quite weird to think all these robotic objects going left, right, and centre, but it is the future. It's a little bit like the DLR. It is all human controlled, so there is a human input. There is a control room controlling all of the pods. It is run on a, on a laser beam sort of receptor service. So if a laser finds another pod in its direction, it will stop the pod and then it will allow the other one to go based on priority basis. It just works out that way. Humans can intervene at all times, so it's by no means without human interaction. So we're taking a left here instead of taking our right back to Terminal 5, just to head round to pod parking station B by the Thistle Hotel. This video is just going to cut short as we get closer to it. That's just because we had to wait outside for a few minutes just to allow for a pod to realise that no one was going to get on and make its way back to pod parking station A or Terminal 5. So here we make our descent into the other part of the car park. This is Zone B, aka pod parking station B, and the Thistle Hotel located right in front of us right there. So we take a right here onto the other track. There is a whole queuing system here, so there can be apparently up to 6 or 7 pods that can be parked here in peak times, just to negotiate each other. Hello guys, thank you for watching this trip report. I know it's only been a short one, so I do apologise about that, but it is a nice short video just to create a something to give to you whilst I'm working on other projects, especially with stuff coming up at the end of July. It's a very, very busy month for you. I've got Farnborough International Air Show. I'm attending 2 days of that, one during the week for the trade and one for the weekend for the flying air show. So I've got a lot coming up literally the following week after Farnborough. I've got Madrid coming up, followed by a trip to Frankfurt, as I said earlier in the video, and then back to London Heathrow. All of those portions of the journey will have a trip report dedicated to each part of it, so I really can't wait to be filming that for you and showing you all of that great footage from the one of the first Iberia A350 flights in service as it flies from London Heathrow back to Madrid. And then I fly LATAM 787-9, as I said earlier, over to Madrid and back on the BA 767 back to London Heathrow before it retires later this year. So I really do hope you've enjoyed this trip report. A nice short one on the little Heathrow pods that you can get from the pod parking station A, pod parking station B, and back to Terminal 5. So it's a nice short one, but I do hope you've enjoyed it overall. Yeah, please feel free to leave a like, a comment, or even subscribe if you are interested in seeing more videos. And anyway, I'll see you later this month, or maybe even in August, depends on when I get the footage edited. But yeah, I'll see you next time for my next trip report as we fly to Madrid. Bye bye.